already that political parties in Nigeria finally rounded off their primaries to meet the May 30 electoral timeline ahead of the 2027 general elections. The post-party primaries face significant grievances such as allegations of candidate imposition by governors, irregular vote tallying, exceeding registered delegate numbers,
Nigeria's ruling All Progressives Congress APC senatorial primaries serve as a high-stakes arena where political destinies are forged, fractured and fiercely contested. Within this theater of ambition, the dual phenomena of the sudden fall from grace and the iron grip of power reveal the volatile nature of Nigeria elite political engineering. The primaries are rarely a simple exercise in grassroots democracy. Instead, they operate as a marketplace of influence, state machinery, and godfatherism. For many heavyweights, including incumbent senators and former governors, these intra-party elections have become an unexpected...
Through peaceful democratic channels, young people are highly likely to turn to civil disobedience, protests, and riots as the only way to, voice their grievances. Excluded youths are often weaponized during election cycles hired by opposing factions to, disrupt primaries, destroy ballot materials, or intimidate voters directly,
threatening incumbent senators and former governors. These intra-party elections have become an unexpected graveyard of ambition, proving that decades of hold on power could collapse overnight. In a way, the pursuit of a Senate ticket exposes the fragile underbelly of party cohesion,
move beyond tokenism.
laying bare the fierce struggle between entrenched godfathers seeking to maintain their grip on power and defiant new breed.
Inclusion requires creating genuine pathways for young people to hold leadership positions, engage in policy formulation, and access economic opportunities to prevent the frustration that fuels restiveness. This will form part of our conversation on the program tonight. And join me in the studio on the discussion is Honorable Nick Apata, is the chieftain of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC. I am Enemaku Ojochegbe, and this is Democracy Today on AIT. I'll be back in just a bit.
The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT. On air, online, on live.
Thanks for staying with us. This is Democracy Today on AIT. We're discussing tonight on the program the just concluded political primaries, party primaries in the APC, and of course, youth exclusion and the threat, especially the security aspect of it, that have arisen and that may follow as time goes on. My guest is already seated, Nick Apata. Many thanks for joining the program tonight.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for having me here.
Let me begin from this point. Sure. What's your assessment of the just concluded primary elections across the country? Not just in the ruling APC, now across all political parties. What's your assessment?
Well, you already, from your introduction, you have enumerated some of the challenges that were associated with the just concluded party primaries across the country. And I asked myself as if, is this a new way of rediscovering ourselves? Is it a learning point for us to say that, okay, so no party actually got it right this time around? Is it an opportunity for us to, as an entity, as a country, where our political leaders can come together and say, well, what went wrong? Were we doing experiment that didn't work out the way we or wanted, or is something really wrong that is actually going to force us to go back to the drawing board. It's all over the political parties. But we also have seen that politics in the country has also become more popular with, politicians jostling for position or jostling for recognition or jostling for being elected. And so it has, it comes with this type of challenge that I'm thinking that we do not have enough information as to how to run, efficient processes. I have friends who were affected by the just concluded nomination election, even within the APC itself. So I think it's an opportunity for political parties, especially the leadership, to rethink again and say that, okay, so we are not going to let these opportunities slip away from us. This democracy is too important for us to lose. And so I'm hopeful that there will be amendment or amelioration with time.
Many youths across the country and across political parties, okay, let me narrow it down to the ruling APC. It's as if the Not Too Young to Run law, which was signed into law by the former President Muhammadu Buhari, well, it did to some extent encourage young Nigerians to get involved with, leadership, political, aspirations and all of that. But on the contrary, in reality, it doesn't quite seem that it favored them that much. For instance, the law is already in place, yes, but he didn't say anything about the costs of getting into the race and, cost of nomination forms and all of that. So, yes, the proponents of that law, those who formulated that law before it was signed into law, yes, they may probably have omitted something, but do you think on their part they need to go back to the drawing board? And secondly, it appears to favor, children, young persons who belong to the political class.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The aspect of activities that I'm involved in with APC as a political party is working with the youth. It's advocacy for Nigerian youth, especially those who are actually affiliated with the party, with the ruling party. And here are some of the things that we think sensitizing our youth in terms of participatory democracy is quite critical, because that's what we don't have. We have young people who are totally detached from politics because, of course, maybe from experience or maybe because of a combination of all the points you have raised. But we are working assiduously now to see that we are drafting them back into saying that, look, participation is so critically important in pushing forward the machinery of democracy. If you do not participate, then you lose your franchise. I have always advocated that franchise is your vote is like money, is like cash. You spend it, and when you spend it, you have a right to say, "Oh well, I voted." Because you voted, you can actually go out there and say, "Well, he didn't do what I voted him to do." There are people who think that we can cast our vote or that the young people can cast their vote online. It doesn't work that way. And that's why, I have to commend the INEC for actually continue to open the portal for Nigerians to continue to register for their APC. So I'm asking young people to go out there, go through the process of registering, get your voters card, participate in the election itself. In terms of opportunities and privileges, well, Nigeria is a country that is still politically, democratically is still in the making. We think we have spent too many years in politics. We have not. We've been broken several times. There's been so much interruptions. And the young people we have today, they were born into a disruptive democratic society or environment. So now is for us to continue to sensitize, and that's what we are doing, working with our young people to say that, look, don't be discouraged. There are opportunities still there for you.
When you say to young persons, don't be discouraged, it is one thing to give them hope.
Yes.
The APC, especially this administration, promised hope, not just hope, renewed hope. And as such, it's talked about, inclusion of everyone, including women and children, youth especially, youth inclusion and all of that. I'm not talking about the clamor for reserved seats for women now.
Yes.
The youth, as we speak, are, in fact, they are agreed to a high octane level. Because, for instance, let's go back to the just concluded primaries. Many people accuse governors of most states of imposing candidates. For instance, this one, not the youth, the immediate past Minister of Foreign Affairs, accused the governor in the state of imposing candidates and asserted that the primaries were not fair. Not just because he lost, but because the process was fraught with a lot of irregularities. So, how can the APC, which came on the mantra, this administration came on the mantra of renewed hope, give the youth hope, especially what they're looking for at this time? Okay,
so you are right. But like you said initially, this challenge, what we had in this previous, just concluded nomination process cut across political parties. Now, if you're addressing the ruling party itself, the president, being the chief Democrat in the country, has said that, look, governors being the chief executive or the chief, they have, that prerogative of running or steering the affairs of their states, should organize a credible election in individual states. So he did that, and there were challenges. We know that governors are very powerful. And I think that when people lose elections, as from experience that we've garnered in Nigeria, there's always room for complaining. I'm not saying that the complaints are not legitimate. They are, of course, but not every one of them. The next step for APC as a ruling party, and I know they will come up with that policy, is to revisit what happened in the just concluded nomination process and see how to mitigate that in future similar circumstances. I do not think that I think governors in those states, the chief executives of those states, I think what they were trying to do was to protect, I don't know, well, maybe they have their own candidates and stuff like that. Was it deliberate on their part to have removed names or to have unilaterally announced, or disenfranchised, or even totally say, well, you were not cleared, you were cleared, and stuff like that? What we witness a lot of different, it depends on who you speak to. There are those who will say that some of the governors were actually the victims of what happened, and those who will say, oh, the governors were so high-handed in the process. Okay. But I think that the party, as a party that's an organic party in the country, is going to find a way to resolve all these differences.
If the youth are, for lack of another word, disenfranchised in this manner, what could it be? For instance, somebody said it could degenerate into relegating the youth into, just ordinary praise singers and sycophants for elderly politicians who have refused to leave the scene, those who they say they're being recycled.
I see things differently. I see our youth, I'm more connected with our youth in terms of economic empowerment. I think when young people, when they have visible means of livelihood, they live a more stable life. They can make decisions, be it political, be it social, be it economic. So they can do that, and I think that's what the party is focused on when this, the president since 2022 they started this idea of a city boy movement in Nigeria and across the country. It is just to mobilize our youth in terms of the direction they're going to be going that is going to make life better for them. Look, politics in Nigeria has been monetized to an extent that if you do not have the resources, it's always so difficult for you to say you're going to run for an elective office, not just with the ruling parties, it's all over the countries. That is the truth, that's the fact. And so for me, I'm more concerned with what happens to our youth. I'm a vocational educator, and we do training, and I know that when you give young people the skill We are into construction, we're into welding, fabrication, auto service, electricity and stuff, electrical installation and stuff like that. That is where my interest is as far as Nigerian youth are concerned. Because if we empower them economically, they are going to go out there and look after their own well-being for themselves and for their families.
For a primary election, as you know, is the election that determines the main election coming up.
Yes.
Now that it has been widely reported that it's fraught with a lot of irregularities, yes, there are, grievance resettling committees that have been set up, but how effective will it be? And of course, what's the implication, considering what is happening now, preceding a general election next year?
I'm happy that this happened, several months before the general election. I don't want to dwell too much on what happened, because I think these are private, local problems within political parties that are actually degenerated into public discourse, which is not bad, which is a way for us to measure the progress we are making in our democratic journey. But does that not offer us something? It offers us the opportunity for self-correction, for assessment, evaluation, and to say that, where do we go from here? I think it's going to be better. I think the various political parties are going to go back in there, do some internal soul searching, find the resolution, and come back better than what it is, especially because people within their parties are not keeping quiet. Before, maybe, you felt skimmed out of a process, okay. You probably wouldn't come out. Now, things have changed, and everybody was really out there saying that, you know what, it wasn't supposed to be this way. And even with the ruling party, the president was not very happy with the process. So we know that's something we have to be done. He's that kind of a person, that kind of a leader.
Now, the primaries are over. The very next step is the campaigns. But of course, until the Apex Electoral Body, INEC, gives the nod.
Yeah.
But when the campaigns begin, Nigerians are really very anxious to know what indices will the APC be campaigning with? Considering
my singular
the economic situation of the country,
as your
security
president,
architecture, security of lives and property, and those two indices alone.
Oh no.
Any loyal and honest citizen of any country will ask for just these two first. So, as we move along, what will the APC be campaigning with? Well, remember, energy is another thing. We'll get to that.
Yes. Well, quite honestly, no one is happy with the current security situation in the country. Not the president, not you, not myself. But for me, in my head, I think this is some kind of thing that is replaying itself. Again, I'm old enough to know that close to elections, we do have security issues escalating in the country. Not to explain away what is happening. I'm just saying that. I'm just putting that out there. What is happening now is not something that I expected as a person, especially what we're dealing with currently. But in terms of the party itself, and you can say all our security agents, they are working day and night. The president, or everyone, every leadership in leadership position in the country, they are doing their best to ensure that Nigeria becomes safer for everyone. That we are able to move. People are able to move around their goods and people and stuff like that. But it's a challenge, especially with the current one in Oyo State. That's something that is constantly in our minds. But in terms of the political campaign for next elections, the party has done very well in terms of it's not just restarting the economy itself from the economy was almost collapsing at the time this current government came in. We all know that. We knew that the very first day President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came in, he said subsidy was gone. And without that, maybe we'll have been
effect is what we're saying today.
Of course, there has to be.
In terms of electricity, which is the basis for every economy, how will that pan out? The president himself did say repeatedly, the evidence is everywhere. He said that if he cannot provide electricity in his first tenure, in the event that he comes back for a second tenure, Nigerians should not vote for him.
Yeah. We have
electricity has not improved.
We are not voting yet. We are not voting yet. We don't know what's going to happen between now and next year when we start voting. I mean, the president is working day and night with what is happening in Nigeria today is to see that we're diversifying when it comes to energy supply in the country, that we are not relying all the time on electricity. Okay, so we're now that's a good way for us to intensify in renewable energy that the government is involved in now. And so I think that before the end of his first time in office, maybe there will still be that window of opportunity for him to fulfill his electoral.
Let me talk about the opportunity. Let me trade from there, since you mentioned it. You see, many Nigerians, feel that the president, before even the campaigns begin, they feel he's detached from them because somebody who promised electricity, he disconnected the official abode of the president from the national grid. He now runs on solar power. Now, how will Nigerians believe that he is connected to that and then will be able to provide what he's promising?
I don't think connecting, Aso Rock or connecting the villa to solar power is a bad thing. I think most homes today.
But it speaks quite a lot of volume.
Well, it does. Well, in what sense?
Saying that you are going to provide so and so when you don't even feel what the people feel, then it means.
I think the president is one of the most compassionate. Day and night, he's working working to serve Nigerians better. Now,
what is the
problem is what he met on the ground
of the
was
APC
not what he
supporters
expected.
across
And
the
this
country.
happens. Look, can I give an example?
Go ahead.
Okay, so I've lived most of my life in Canada, and there was a particular year that an incoming prime minister was campaigning, and he said, well, look, there's not going to be any tax increase on my watch. It's never going to happen. You just vote for me. And he went on and on and on, and it was very credible. It was very believable. He got there, reviewed the economy of the country, and apologized to the citizens, and then hiked, brought in taxes. No, it's not even. Oh, my bad. It's not even it wasn't the prime minister. It was the premier of. Our region in Ontario.
Okay. Right.
So he increased the taxes by 6%, and we had no choice at all because it's a parliamentary system. You just bring these things in and you keep on going. Okay, so I understand our president is very well-meaning, and we know that, and he's working day and night to ensure that the economy in this country stabilizes. He's investing heavily on infrastructure.
But it's been 3 years. And it will soon be 4 years. It hasn't quite shown any evidence.
And that is why the opportunity in the federal constitution, like the one we run, allows you to contest for additional term. Because it's always so difficult when you have to start from the beginning. When you start, like he's doing, it wasn't starting from the beginning, it was starting from a point of deficit when he came in. And for him to be able to actually have something that yes, I have done what I promised to do for Nigerians, I think it will require another 4 years.
Well, apart from the indices you mentioned, there's quite a lot of others, like, the high level of poverty and hunger at the moment. I know that your party, whenever they go for functions and all of that, the handouts, some handful of meals and all of that. Beyond that,
that is not a bad thing.
It is not, but what's the plan for a long-term, solution? So that people don't continue to live from hand to mouth as we have it now.
So that having welfare or social service program for people is not a bad thing, but they're temporary. They're temporary intervention to ensure that people do not go hungry. And that is why I was emphasizing on let us give skills to our young population in the country. Let's show them the road for self-actualization, self-employment, or skill that actually will give them the livelihood of a lifetime for them and their family. I think that should be the focus. I think that is the focus of the government. Through the Industrial Training Fund, they are starting their training again in a month or so. I think it's by the end of June or even in June itself. The Federal Ministry of Education, at least I'm engaged with them under the Technical and Vocational and Education and Training. They are starting their program also. What I just want to appeal to young Nigerians to go online, and enroll into these programs. Yes.
Let's talk about, partisan politics now, in a little bit. You see, the ruling APC has been accused severally by almost all the other political parties of witch hunts, of, a hijacking, of deliberate fabrication of, internal party leadership crisis and what have you. There is virtually no notable opposition political party at the moment in the country that doesn't have one internal party crisis or another.
And you hold the ruling party responsible for that?
These
I don't think so.
Allegations.
Well, right? they're just allegations, right? Okay,
now, why will that, like the in Nigerian proverbial sayings, the dead body of a little child lies here, and the hoof prints of a horse pass right beside it. Aren't they related?
No, not in this particular case. All I can say is this: look, it's open season on the ruling party now, especially when some members of the opposition parties started with their governor started defecting to APC. So that actually pitched APC against the other parties.
We hear that the APC enticed many of them which encourage some of these high-profile defections.
Of course, that is what people are going to say. I think it was based on the formidable policy that the economic policy that the president is running. That's number one. Number two, some of these governors have seen the light. They are receiving higher allocation than governors have ever received in the past, and that has enabled them to do more for their people. I do not see any crisis being fomented in other political parties by the ruling party. Well, I do not see it. But it's just like now everyone can just always go to, if anything happens, if you have a quarrel with a friend, you accuse the party the ruling party for instigating it.
Now that the primaries are over, as I mentioned earlier, the next will be campaigns. And of course, other activities that precede the election will begin to unfold. What should Nigerians expect from the ruling party as the time ticks towards the next
leadership? Leadership, as the party has provided, has to deepen our journey democratically. That's what the party is all about. The president has continued to tell the world, he goes around on behalf of Nigeria telling the world that, look, this is what I need to achieve for this country. I need to elevate this country to, to a very high level under my watch. And that is what he's doing. He's been doing that. And he gets little credit. He gets little credit for all his efforts because, of course, people expect way too much.
Is he actually really supposed to get credit?
Well, of course.
He is a public servant who is expected to perform.
Well, when a civil servant even actually perform well, I'm not saying we should be worshiping him. I'm saying that we criticize him. We're not even neutral about it. People criticize him all the time. You go online, everything you see is the president is doing this, is not doing that. But which is fine. Right. But his record is going to be there for him. His record is going to outlive him.
I believe we can have this discussion again at some other time. Maybe even in the course of the week, but we have to bring it to a close at this point. Honorable Nick Apata is the for joining the program tonight.
You are welcome. Thank you for having me here.
All right, we'll be back in just a moment. Don't go away.
People, politics, and power brings context and clarity to issues and events in governance,
so this was
democracy,
totally out of the script for me.
On People, Politics,
this was totally
and
out of
Power,
the script.
we feature people who shape the events and define the
So I had, yes.
People, Politics, and Power brings context and clarity to issues and
I will talk to her.
democracy,
It's a pleasure.
on On People, Politics and Power, we feature people who shape the events and define the issues.
A lot of the agencies are still struggling with implementation of freedom of information.
The government should
I'm sure there must have
we
been
need Nigeria to work.
We examine the interplay and interaction of politics with
But it's all
power
good.
and
Thank you,
their
sir.
impact
Yeah.
on policies and the people.
It's about getting the system to deliver the kind of electoral
People, Politics and Power with Imoni Amarere.
Will performing agencies be held to account? Or will the numbers fade after the headlines?
At 1 p.m. every Monday and Friday on AIT.
No, we are mourning.
The stories now break online.
Dr. Emeka Okil.
Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape
get the
the
correct
narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook,
Life is
official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube.
like I'm
Stay
sitting on a
connected
keke.
with
Seriously.
That's the best form of transportation Nigerian leadership can provide.
In the hallowed chamber,
That's
where laws are
true.
forged and a nation's destiny is decided.
This is your parliamentary program, Inside the Parliament on AIT.
Voices rise, opinions clash, debates ignite.
We cannot be apologetic in the discharge of our constitutional duties as lawmakers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The burden of proving that the elections have been conducted peacefully and in accordance with law must shift to INEC.
From the Senate to the House of Representatives, this is where policies are tested, laws are crafted, and authority is held to account.
We spoke to some lawmakers on their opinions of the document presented by the President.
Every motion, every argument carries the hopes of millions.
We need more hospitals, more health clinics in communities so that they can effectively take care of the primary health need of our people.
The questions are tough. The exchanges are intense.
Mr. President, you can have your way, but I will have my say. You can use the gavel, and I will use my voice.
And those who want the proviso are 55 in number. And so the proviso says.
But who truly stands for the people? Who is driving the change that defines our tomorrow?
Let us tell ourselves the truth. Why are we here talking about LGBT, GTBT, whatever?
Get the answers on Where Nigeria Decides on Inside the Parliament on AIT every Tuesday, 4:30 p.m.
Many thanks for still staying there. This is Democracy Today on AIT. And in case you're just tuning in, you've missed quite some part, but not to worry. My next set of guests are already seated. Remember, we're discussing the post-primary election issues arising, and of course, youth exclusion, and of course, the security threats as to dovetail and relate with each other. I have joining me in the studio right now, legal practitioner, Barrister Ndubisi Kalu. Many thanks for joining the program tonight.
Thank you.
And of course, the Chairman Forum of National Youth Leaders of Political Parties in Nigeria, he is Honorable Eze Onyebuchi. Thanks for joining the program tonight.
Thank you for having me.
I'm going to begin with you. You see, the primary elections we just rounded off yesterday, right? And quite contrary to what many Nigerians, political party members, the aspirants themselves expected, a lot of rancor, irregularities, parallel, processes and all of that have arisen. What is your assessment of that process so far?
Well, I will say that the primary election that we just had is nothing to write home about, and this goes a long way to confirm my message so far as a youth leader. I've always told the youths that our problem in the country is not political party. Our problem is not religion, is not tribe. Our problem is inability of Nigerians, people of all tribes, people of all religions, to do the right thing. political party is just a kind of a house, that one enters a house or does not make the person bad. A good politician in one political party you think is evil will go there and remain a good politician and perform. But a bad one will enter the one you call angelic party and still be bad. Now, the masses, who are the Nigerians themselves, are still the ones who flood into any new political party that comes on board and go there and continue who they are. The problem is the masses, the Nigerians themselves, not political parties. If political party was to be our problem, then any new one that is registered is supposed to live a new life. But you see us struggling with the same thing we have been fighting in the old political parties. The desperation, the corruption, the violence is residing in us, not in political parties. So what we had is that same desperation we have experienced in the past, nothing different. People running away with results, people collecting money and disappearing, same story. And the only way we can solve this problem is for us to start as individuals, as the citizens, to be the change we are craving for.
President BC,
yes.
The primary election is not the main general election. It is where aspirants angle for the party's ticket, to qualify, to fly the party's flag for the general election.
Yes.
In other words, the election before the election. But look what we are seeing. What is to be expected then, considering what has happened so far in the general election?
Well, the truth is that, just like my friend said, desperation is the reason why we are seeing what we are seeing in our political atmosphere in Nigeria. The just concluded primary election just further deepens, our fear as to what will happen in the general election that will take place next year. You see, the truth is that for too long a time, we have had political sins without consequences. That is the reason why we have continued to see, what we see in our both, primary elections and the general elections at large. We saw the shenanigans that went on during the primary election, how people counted from 100 to 200, how people counted from 200, all of a sudden, people we once, we have always known as mathematicians became, novices in mathematics. People counting for their selfish interest. So I think the bottom line is for us to define consequences for political things. And if it is not properly checked, it will be worse next year. The desperation is much. Desperation is much.
Now, I understand that the various political parties have set up, conflict resolution committees as to how to resolve issues and grievances that may have arisen as a result of these primaries. But do you think that will be effective, in curbing what we are talking about? Because what is coming in terms of, I'm not a prophet of doom, but considering what we've seen, right? Many people are already anxious and, sort of discouraged as to preparation for the general election. So what sort of, plans should be put in place for grievance resolving committees? Because we'll start hearing that in the coming days.
Well, just like you've asked me now, I don't think the committee that has been set up to look into the crisis or what led to the crisis in the primary election will actually amount to anything. The reason is because it is still the members of the party that are still going to look into those issues.
Ruling All Progressives Congress, APC senatorial primaries,
at the end of the day,
high stakes arena where political destinies are forged, fractured and fiercely contested. Within this theater of ambition, the dual phenomena of the sudden fall from grace and the iron grip of power reveal the volatile nature of Nigeria's elite political engineering. The primaries are rarely a simple exercise in grassroots democracy.
If you are somebody who has, who has regard for norms, you have regard for values, there are things you don't do.
Honorable, you see, they're not too young to run law. When it was signed into law by former President Muhammad Buhari, it came with a lot of excitement. It was received with so much jubilation and excitement with the hope that it could turn the tide in terms of youth participation in governance, political activities in the country and all of that. But it
On a
appears
time there was
the
a
reverse,
land
right,
gripped by
is the case in what we're
blindness.
seeing.
Food had lost
For
its
instance,
flavor
yes,
and
the
there
Not
was
Too Young to Run
nothing
Act
left
became a
to
law,
savor.
and it favors some persons.
Just
But
then,
analysts are saying that it sort of favored, children of the political elites, the rich kids thing. For instance, the son of former President Muhammadu Buhari just won his ticket. A relative of former military head of state, Abdulsalami Abubakar, also got, and a whole lot of others. So, in your view, have the youth been sort of relegated and edged out of the scheme of things politically as it is?
The Not Too Young to Run was just us giving rights to contest, and what we usually get in this our country is what I call the more you look, the less you see. Sometimes agitations from the youth come, and then what we get is for what we are asking for to be granted us, artificially or, partially. What was given us, you can tell someone that you have right to now go to a certain place. Then you go along the way and then block the person from reaching the destination. So you gave us right to contest. And then you now made the means of contesting, the process of contesting, very high that we can't afford it. You understand? So the youths are a kind of incapacitated. They are seeing their right to contest, but they don't have what it takes to contest. So it must favor the children of the rich. Where is the youth going to get 100 million to contest for president? Where is the youth going to get 15 million to contest for Senate? So these are more, including the cost of electioneering in the country. Everything is heightened for technically to make sure that the youth don't come close to power. And I have always said, how can we always be discussing the future, yet sidelining the people who inherit the future?
For many heavyweights,
I know that in the
including
business
incumbent senators and former governors,
people,
these
once they are
intra-party
getting old
elections
and
have
getting
become
weak
an
or
unexpected
running out of
graveyard
ideas,
of ambition,
they start preparing their younger
proving that
ones to take over the leadership of their businesses, because business must go on. But in politics in this country, you see people getting old, getting weak, and refusing to live, and making it look like their children are not capable or don't have any capacity to lead their own country. So the issue of not too wrong to run is a kind of, I don't want to just call it a bad name, but it didn't do enough. It should mandate the government or the polity to give us a certain rights or number of seats to acquire in the National Assembly,
just like
and other elective
just like the special reserve seat for women that they're clamoring for now.
Yes, exactly.
Are you advocating for such a thing on the part of the youths going forward?
Yeah,
perhaps that could change the tide.
I attended a program by organizers of Nigerian Youth in Politics, and they were advocating for 20%, and I told them no. As a national youth leader and also the chairman forum of national youth leaders of all political parties in Nigeria, we are no longer asking for inclusion in governance. What we're asking is transition of leadership to the young people. They said we are 70% population, right, of our population. If we're 70%, we should be also represented by 70% also. You understand? So if we become the 70% in governance, it means we are the ones in charge. The leaders should do well as they also do, they treat their business. They should treat Nigeria like their personal businesses. Right. Prepare us, hand over leadership to us, and then give us your wise counsel and your connect and your experience from the background. Let's lead the country.
Barrister Khalid, what could be the implication of exclusion of youths by the ruling elite? For instance, in the just concluded primaries, many young and youthful aspirants, lamented imposition of their favored candidates by their governors. Some, accused the authorities in their political parties of, parallel processes and fabrication of results and a whole lot. The stories from the primaries are, I'm sure you are aware of it already. Now, what's the implication if youths are aggrieved to this extent, in a time preceding a general election, what could the implication be?
Well, thank you. You know, the truth is that, first of all, I will have to commend the 8th Assembly that actually passed the Not Too Young to Wrong bill into law. It's a welcome development. Over the years, Nigeria has actually tried a lot to accommodate the youth in politics, particularly in paper. But unfortunately, the Not Too Young to Run bill that was passed into law has only been observed in breach, if you ask me. Okay. Now, the implication of excluding the youth from Nigerian politics has a lot of negative implications.
It's a
For instance,
on power
the youth in
could
the 21st
collapse
century
overnight.
are the warehouses of development.
In a way,
country,
the pursuit of a Senate ticket exposes
the leaders of the world you can think of that
underbelly
actually
of
bettered
party
the
cohesion,
development in their various countries were youth. For
laying
instance,
bare the fierce struggle between entrenched godfathers seeking to maintain their grip on power and different new breeds attempting to dismantle established oligarchies.
Singapore is yet to recover
for many heavyweights. The primaries
Nigeria we have always
that power in the ruling party is fluid, clinging not to individuals, vast resources were deployed.
In present day, are there young people in governance?
That is a problem of Africa. We have, in fact, the leadership we run in Africa is the leadership of gerontocracy,
and support
leadership
of
of aged persons. Nigeria,
the exercise highlights a system where structural power and strategic positioning
Don't forget that the political leaders have actually weaponized poverty against the youth. And if you are poor, you can't participate in Nigerian politics. Just like you said,
APC senatorial primaries reveal the true nature of Nigerian political engineering.
How many can muzzle at 15
The exercise highlights a system where structural power and strategic positioning often triumph over popular will, leaving a trail of battlegrounds.
Because if you have
the
no money,
victors
you have
emerge
no voice.
not just as
if you have
party
no education,
standard
you have no
bearers
voice.
or better
Majority of the
still,
youth in Nigeria are
candidates,
illiterate.
but as battle-tested survivors who perhaps understand that in the relentless pursuit of
the implication is huge. The insecurity we are having in Nigeria is a product of youth
on these internal battlegrounds,
having a voice. Financial
voice,
not carefully engaged,
they
are taken to crime.
Better still,
so beyond this concern,
but as battle-tested survivors, who perhaps
is there any solution
understand that in the relentless pursuit of power,
like you said,
the line between
the
absolute control and political oblivion
define,
is razor thin.
should give a portion, a particular percentage of youth that should be in, that the politics of Nigeria should accommodate for elective offices, particularly for elective offices. For instance, there is not, it's not a crime for a Nigerian youth to occupy the highest office in the land, like the office of the president. I have asked some politicians in time past, some of the political office holders in Nigeria that we have, can you put them in your business establishment to run your business? The answer is no. You can't put them in your business establishment because Nigeria is like a business and it must be serious-minded persons. This is the world today is a world of technology. AI rules the world now. How many of the persons who are in political offices can manipulate AI, can engage AI for positive use?
In other words, technologically compliant.
Compliant. How many of them are technologically compliant?
Just a thought.
It's only the youth.
Just hold that thought. Let's get back to partisan politics.
Okay, thank you.
You see, Honorable Eze, many political parties, as of today, according to INEC's portal, registered political parties who will be participating in the next general elections. But apart from the ruling APC, virtually most of the notable opposition political parties all have leadership issues at the moment. And at one time or the other, they have all accused, the ruling APC of planting discord in all of these parties. In other words, witch hunting
it's
the
my
opposition
singular
political parties.
honor
Is that, what?
To present this certificate.
How dangerous is
which is the voices
in democracy like
of
ours?
Millions of the APC supporters across the country?
I am one person that
over 10 million
say no to that narrative, that the ruling party is the one putting division in other political parties. My own political party is not having any problem, for instance, and every other political party that have had problems in this country actually started internally. If there is anything the opposition have done, the ruling party have done, maybe they will just fuel what had already started. All of them I don't want to mention any political party, but all their crises started internally between themselves. If they say maybe the ruling party is influencing maybe the courts,
Nigeria's
maybe
ruling All Progressives
one can even
Congress.
say, let's think whether it is true, but saying that the ruling party started a crisis, that desperation and corruption of Nigerians started in their party. People refusing to give up on their personal interests. People insisting that if it is not them, everything should crash. How can, let's start with the newest political party, the trending one now. Before it comes on board, let's say anything happens tomorrow now, they will still accuse the ruling party. But there is a court case before it was even uploaded in INEC. Another one was also threatening to go and challenge its registration. So if that one now escalates, will you now say it is the ruling party? It is not. We as a people are desperate, corrupt, self-centered. And until we learn to be the change, things will not register 1 million political parties. Same people will flood into it. Many of the people who flooded into the trended political party in 2023, 99.9% of them decamped to the same party they came to fight.
All right. Barrister Kalu, we are almost rounding off now. We're getting to the edge of our time. But I will not let you guys go before. But we must ask you this, because after the primaries, the next step will definitely be campaigns, but not without the nod of INEC. Now, the campaigns, Nigerians want issue-based campaigns, right? And as such, what do you expect to see as an individual and, of course, as a notable stakeholder in the scheme of things in the country?
Okay. You know, as usual, politicians will always campaign and then tell you we'll provide water, we'll provide electricity, we'll provide, you know, all those
things that actually should be a right of
citizens. Things that are naturally our rights. Things that in the Western world they put them behind. It's not a prayer point. But unfortunately,
I like that phrase. It's not a prayer point.
It's not a prayer point in the Western world. But here it has become a very huge prayer point. The politicians will promise us heaven on earth. At the end of the day, we'll get nothing. We actually expect issue-based campaign. We expect pragmatism, not just a campaign. If the person finally gets into office, are you going to get these things done? Just like our president promised us, build up to the campaign. If I don't give you lights, a particular period, don't vote for me to come back the second term. I mean, that was an affirmative. That was a statement that all Nigerians should ordinarily should look at. So, and we are sorry, Mr. We are. Some of us have actually, come up with this same campaign the president did during the build-up to the election in 2023. And we are saying the light, do we have it? We don't have it. So we are saying, going forward, politicians who are coming to promise us heaven on earth, are they ready to keep to their promises?
Huge question.
Yes.
Your parting response, because we are out of time already, so we can wrap it up.
Well, on the question you asked him, I will suggest that the National Assembly should even go ahead and make a law. Since the lawyers always say who allege must prove, who promised must fulfill. If you promise us heaven on earth and you come to office and you don't fulfill, people should have right to sue you to return whatever you have gotten. Secondly, I want to advise everyone, both politicians and the masses, we should know that this country belongs to all of us. Whenever there is bad leadership, it affects everybody. Whenever there's good governance, everyone will enjoy it. Let everyone keep their interests aside whenever the interest of the country is in clash with theirs.
But Barrister Kalu, you heard what he said. Yeah. People should start getting sued if they make promises and they don't fulfill it. So you're a lawyer, so you should.
No. Anyway, nobody can sue anybody based on campaign promise.
Maybe when it becomes law.
Yes.
Well, when it becomes,
it has to be made law.
If it is accommodating in our law, why not? Who can sue?
I must thank you very much, gentlemen. Yes. Barrister Ndubisi Kalu for joining the program tonight, and of course, Honorable Eze for joining the program tonight. I'm looking forward to seeing you in our subsequent
thank you.
Editions.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having
me. All right,
us.
we're about leaving now, but I would not leave you without letting you know about the reactions. The reactions are still coming up, regarding the issues arising from the just concluded primary elections. A lot of persons are still aggrieved, and we look forward to seeing how political parties, and including the ruling party, of course, will handle issues that have arisen. Don't forget, you can follow us on all social media handles. You can also find me on all social media handles. I'll see you again tomorrow. I am Enemaku Ojochegbe. Bye for now.
It's planned. Me and two of my colleagues, we are just having a meeting before you people walked in. And they are here also as the representative of this agreement that we've had that brought the consensus that we are talking about. And it is constitutionally established that there are two ways that we can have a nominee of a political party. One is by consensus. Two is by direct primaries. And when you talk about consensus, it's among the aspirants that will come together to choose one of them as a candidate for the party. That is what consensus is all about. Consensus is done among the people aspiring. The second one is direct primaries. And the direct primaries cannot originate from the area council. Direct primary can only emanate from the electoral wards. If you jump electoral wards, it's no longer a direct primary. And during this election, if you go throughout the 22 wards, you will see our people, they were everywhere. And the people that was assigned to come and conduct this election, because they have been paid, that's why they went to a particular spot and they organized their own kangaroo election, leaving the people and the wards in the places designated for this Congress. And that made even the ward chairman to take it upon themselves to make sure that those primaries were conducted.
So if there was a problem, you cannot see the 22 chairmen for both Amak and Buhari coming together, following one person. It's because people wanted to plant the problem and we resisted it. We spoke with one voice. And Honorable Joshua Chinedu Obika is our voice for the House of Representatives. Why Barrister Amanda Pam is our choice as far as the Senate is concerned in FCT. And P2B is our choice for the presidency.
Thank you, sir. That make me fall in love with this particular political party because they have good ideology. You see, the ideology don't permit or don't encourage such vote buying. If you see, you notice that many people are on their own registering. That means if you read the body language, it should show you they are not doing that because of vote buying, but they are doing that to come out and pass a message.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you.
No, it's okay.
We are waiting for this time. We are waiting for. No, we don't have the lights.
Even disconnected from national grid.